Alright guys, here we go. First we're going to do is open up the Corob, the actual dispenser. It's going to ask us if we want to initialize it. Hit yes. Alright, so now it's going to ask us to actually purge the system. Make sure we put a can into the dispenser. And once the can is locked in, you hit OK. It will then purge the system. This has to be done once a day. That's pretty much it. Close out the system, close out the program, open back up, and then it'll allow you to purge. Alright, so now while this is purging, we'll open the other program. So we'll go back to the desktop, and we have Paint, which is actually the passage system. So we'll open up the passage system. You know, it was this window. So if we want to start a new color, we're going to click on Formulation. Alright, so now it's going to give us a code. Now this is where we store all our names of our colors and our trials and our standards. So 101 is our new one, so it appears as new. So we'll click in, we'll name this one Benjamin Moore 01 White. Alright, actually let's do those in caps. BM 01 White. And I always like to write in the base as well, so say we're using 530 Ni, I'll write it in. So when we come back to refer to the color, we know which base. So 530 Ni, 2530 wet look, clear base like the 930 series, the CR 4500 with the converters. So once we have that written down, we can measure our trial. We'll measure our standard. Click measure. If it does ask for us to calibrate, just simply calibrate it, and that's it. So I'll just measure this real quick. It's going to be, measure it 3 times. 3. Okay. So we hit OK. Now we have our standard in. So click on Batch, New Formula, Start. Now we can compute. We don't have to print. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so now it gave us our formula for quote-unquote 01 white. I just used a random color I had laying here, a white color. Click on our formulas. Our formulas is going to give us a whole bunch of different formulas to choose from. We want something that's below a 0.25 on the delta E over here. So we have 0.23, so we'll just go with the first one here. Which is already loaded up here, but if you want to choose a different one, say this one, you just double click it and it puts it here. So once we're happy with that selection, we then choose our can. So when we're doing a white, you choose the actual size of the can. If you're doing a clear, you don't choose a can at all. So let's just say we're doing a 5 liter, well 5 kilo. And then we select our base, so 530 Ni is going to be our base. You can print it. Since this is a test, I'm not going to print it. Let's hit OK. And we're going to save the actual formula. Now it's going to pop up here. You're actually not going to use this. So we're going to close these out, and we're going to go back over here. So if the formula is saved, once you see the star up here, you know that we have a saved formula. So now we're going to go over to Batch. Click on Batch. This is very important. Always have to select last edition. This is going to help the software remember what's going on. So last edition is extremely important. Make sure it's always checked. Dispense. Now it pops up here. From here, you actually tint into the can. So say we have a 530 Ni can in there. Before we actually hit tint, we're going to hit edit, just to make sure of one thing. that this is the correct hand size, and right here is actually not the correct hand size. So we're gonna go down, we're gonna hit 5 kilo, and it's gonna adjust everything we need in order to tint this color. So now from here we can click tint. Depending on how many cans you're doing, so we're just doing one can, so you can actually leave this at 0, but if you're doing a lot of different cans at the same time, you can change this to doing 10 cans. And every time you dispense, it will drop the number down, 9, 8, 7, and so on. And that's really it. So you hit OK, it will tint it, and once the tinting is done, this will actually be grayed out. Once this is back to being blue, that's how you know that the tint is that all the tints are inside the can. Sometimes it will actually pop up a window and saying completed, but most of the time it doesn't do that. So that's really it. That's just to get a formula started. So now if we want to do an adjustment, we go back to our editor. So we're going to close everything out, and it's going to bring back this screen here. Initially we use the formulation. Now for a trial, we're going to use our colorimetry. Click on colorimetry and scan our sample. After we obviously do a spray out of the color, and we'll scan it in. So we'll do that. Let's just say I sprayed it out, and let's scan it. Three scans. Good to go. Alright. So once our trial is scanned, we click OK. It's going to ask us to name our sample, so we'll name this one Test 1. We'll hit OK. Now it's showing us down here in our bullseye where we are. Since I did scan the same sample again, that's why the color looks so good. And this is our wavelength here. And if your color is along the same wavelength, it's going to be very, very close. But let's see here. Our delta E is at a 0.09, which is passable. Anything below 0.1 is technically passing, but I try to always get it below 0.25. It's a little more of an accurate match. And from here, we say that the color needs to be adjusted just a little bit, and so we're going to click by addition. And what it's going to do, it's going to formulate another trial for us. So we're going to continue, compute, and it's automatically going to generate what the things we need to put in. So it's telling us to add these two colors, and once we're happy with that, we're going to click OK again. Now it's asked us to save. Yes, we want to save. Again, it's going to pop up here. You don't want to use this one. You're going to close it out. You're going to close this one out as well. You're going to go back to formulation. You're going to click on batch and last addition. So down here it says correction 1. That was our first correction we're doing. So we'll do that. Hit dispense, and again it's here. Same thing. We're going to edit. I'm sorry, we're not going to edit. We're going to tint, because this is actually as an addition to what we were doing before. And we'll click OK, and that's it. And we're good to go. You do that until you get the color. And once you do have the color completed, you're going to go here to progressive batch. We'll say everything's done, you're good, you're happy with the color, you go to progressive batch, you're going to save as formula. It's going to ask you, save it as a new formula, which is correct. So now it's going to always have that formula we just made as our standard. So whenever we need to repeat this color, it will be in there. But this is just a trial, so I don't need to save it. And that's really it. And it's very, very, very simple. It should be easy to do.